People at home, we're talking about absolute values. Okay, absolute values, they have bars around them like this. Absolute value of a negative number is a positive, and the absolute value of a positive number is still a positive. So absolute values are positives, except for one exception. Anybody think of a number you can take the absolute value of and it not be positive? Heard somebody say it. 0. What's the absolute value of 0? Still 0, which is neither positive nor negative, okay? So be careful, okay? Some students think the absolute value of a positive is a negative. No, it's not. They're not opposites necessarily. And the reason why we do this is it's the distance a number is from 0. That's what it is. The absolute value is how far something is from 0. Now let me give you this as an example and see if you can figure this one out. If I was going to find the difference in my age and Mrs. Neal's age, okay?
Miss Neal.
How would, you know what Mrs. Neal is? The other math
really
teacher?
do not know.
Okay. She's about 3 classrooms down. She's the other math
Geometry.
teacher.
Oh.
Yep, teaches geometry. If I was to ask you, and hopefully this is a good example, how you'd find out how much the difference in my age and Mrs. Neal's age. How would you do it?
Well, you graduate.
I'm not going to tell you.
What do you minus like what, older?
So who minus who?
What older?
I didn't tell you that.
You minus her. because-
So would it make a difference though if I took, you said you take the biggest minus the smallest. Yes, you would. But I said, who's older? And you said, I don't know. And I'm not going to tell you. Okay? And it's not like I'm afraid to tell. I'll tell you in a minute. But what I'm getting at is this. If we put them in the wrong order, will it change our answer when we subtract?
No.
Yes, it
Well,
will.
well,
Okay?
no.
What happens when you reverse the order? When you add, it doesn't matter what order you add in. Okay? But when you subtract, it does make a difference. For example, if I took 10 minus 2, we get 8. What's 2 take away 10?
-8.
Negative 8. You don't get the same thing.
Well,
You get the
yeah, but-
opposite. But if I absolute value them, what's the absolute value of 8?
8.
What's the absolute value of negative 8?
8.
8. So, when you said take the bigger minus the smaller, I could just take our ages, and it doesn't matter which one minus which one, when I take the absolute value of it, it would give you the right answer. I'm just curious, who do you think's older, me or Mrs. Neal?
You, because Miss Neal.
I don't know. Both of you had both my siblings, so I have no clue.
Okay. She's actually like 2 years older than me. So.
Actually, I will put it like this: my dad had you, and he didn't have, and he never.
Who's your dad?
Shane LaBeouf.
He's your dad?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you have an Uncle Eddie LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Shane LaBeouf is your dad. Oh my gosh, I feel really old. Jeez.
Wait.
Huh?
Did my dad graduate before? Wait, what?
I never taught your dad.
Not teach my dad. Did you graduate with him or?
I went to Athens,
What year did you graduate?
89.
Oh no.
Is he older or younger than me?
He's older.
Yeah. He's probably class of 84, 85.
Probably shouldn't have told you that.
How old is your dad?
48.
Well, I'm 49. He graduated right around 89.
My dad dropped out.
My dad is an unknown age. I
Anyhow.
don't know how old he is.
Eddie LaBeouf is your dad. I haven't
No,
heard
Shane
that.
LaBeouf.
Or Shane.
Eddie. Cool. I don't
Wait a
know if
minute.
I'd be able to do it.
Who's your dad? Shane or Eddie?
Shane.
Yeah.
Shane's really, at least back then, was really, really tall and lanky.
Yep.
Eddie wasn't short, but your dad's taller than.
Yeah, way taller.
And Eddie is older than Shane, right?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. I got it mixed up there. Either way, though, okay. Shane is. He ain't that. How old is your dad? Don't know? Okay.
I know he's in his 30s though.
Right. But man, it doesn't seem like it's been that long. Okay. So anyhow, absolute value is just we're taking negative numbers and making them positives. We're taking positive numbers and keeping them positive numbers. Okay. Now, what if I gave you something like this? These are where. Close your lids, please. Okay. You have time to close them up there. Okay. I want to make sure you guys see the difference. Some of these questions are not hard, but they get a little tricky. If I give you this right here, the absolute value of negative 12, what would that be?
Positive 12.
Positive 12. You don't have to say positive, just 12. Now what if I did this? What if I put the negative absolute value of 12? Would that change things? Where I
Yes.
put the
Yes,
negative?
it would be
What is-
negative.
Right, because what's the absolute value of 12?
12.
But that makes it
Negative.
negative 12. So where you put them makes a difference. How about the negative absolute value of negative 12? What would that be?
Positive. No, it'd still be negative.
Because let's cover this up. What's the absolute value of negative 12?
Oh, 12.
But that makes it
Negative 12.
negative 12, okay? Be careful. Some students think, well, the negative makes it a positive. Those are not parentheses. They're absolute value symbols. They don't work exactly like parentheses, all right? All right, there's a few things that we need to still talk about, and we'll deal with that when we get to the assignment. So why don't you guys grab a piece of paper if you don't already have it, and we're gonna knock out some of these real quick, all right? You'll have plenty of time that you guys can click on these answers, okay?
Just a little question. Can you still do the Rubik's Cube?
Oh yeah, I got one on my desk, I'll show you in a few minutes. Did I teach your dad how to do that, or he just knew that I could do it?
He says that he tried to, but he never
Okay.
picked up on it.
Okay, huh, yeah, I've taught quite a few students how to do it.
Do what?
Rubik's Cube, okay.
Wait, really?
Uh-huh.
Never understood that.
Oh,
There's
okay.
actually a thing to it.
I've done it once. That was just a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Messing with it.
Okay, so exercise number 3 says simplify the expression. This right here, what is that?
Or
9, okay? And you don't even need to show any, there is no work to show on these, okay? Question number 5, okay? This looks, it's a little bit more work, but not much. Simplify this, absolute value of 14, we're not done, minus the absolute value of negative 14. I think that's what it says. Hang on a second.
0.
Yep. So what's the absolute value of 14?
Negative.
14.
Minus, what's the absolute value of negative 14?
14.
And 14 minus 14 is
0.
0. Okay? You can't miss these on test day. These are
What
too
did you
easy.
say about the number 5?
Well, it was the absolute value of 14 minus the absolute value of negative 14. The absolute value of 14 is just 14
It makes positive.
minus absolute value of negative 14 is also 14. 14 minus 14. We're just doing two absolute values and then subtracting them. Let's look at number 7. Okay, what does it say? Negative absolute value of negative 5 times negative 7. Okay, so what do you think this one's going to be? The
Wait.
negative absolute value of negative
It's still
5
be
times negative 7.
negative 35.
Right, we do inside the absolute values. What's a negative 5 times a negative 7?
It's a positive.
Positive 35. What's the absolute value of 35?
Negative. Well, it's 35, but there's a negative.
Okay,
sign. It's
slow down.
negative.
Let's back up there. Answer what I asked. What's the absolute value of 35? 35, but then like Mauer said, that makes it negative 35. You're not wrong. I just wanted to, you went faster than me. If you're talking faster than me, you're talking way too fast because I talk too fast. Okay. Number 9. Problem number 9. Okay, so we have negative 27 over negative 3. The absolute value of 27 over negative 3.
What the?
So, what do fractions mean?
Oh, shoot.
Divide. What's 27 divided by negative 3?
Negative 9.
So the absolute value of negative 9 is 9.
Yep. Well, this is much easier.
Now, here is where it starts getting a little bit tricky, okay? And I don't want to brag, okay? But I'm going to kind of pat myself on the back here. I explain this a certain way. If you listen very carefully, I'm not going to say it fast, okay? But I ask this the last 2 or 3 years. I've explained this the way I'm going to explain this. So I explained it like this for 20 years. And there's always a handful of people that struggle with this, and I don't know why, because I can't think of an easier way of explaining what I'm about ready to explain. So just listen very, very carefully, okay? It says the absolute value of W is 6, okay? We're going to get the answers, and then we're going to talk about the answer, okay? This is saying, what can I take the absolute value of and get an answer of 6? What?
Negative 6.
6?
But no, negative 6.
Which is it, 6 or negative 6?
Negative
It's both.
It's both, okay? So, 6 and negative 6. The reason is, what's the absolute value of 6? 6. What's the absolute value of negative 6? 6. They're both right, and you need both of them. If you only have one, you won't get full credit, okay? Now, what I want you to understand is, listen carefully. If you're sitting there going, I got it, just listen, okay? If you have absolute values, I don't want to brag here, but I don't see where people are confused on this. What's inside the absolute value, which is W, could be what's outside the absolute value, or,
Inside.
no, not inside. This could be 6, or it could be,
Negative 6.
describe that. Describe 6 and negative 6. They are what?
Opposite.
The opposite. What's in here could be what's outside of it, or
The opposite.
the opposite. I don't think that's hard. I don't know where students struggle with that. What's inside could be what's outside or its opposite.
So, whenever we read an answer, you put both of those, or just one?
Yeah, you need both of them. When you're clicking on these, they ask you to put all the answers. If you only put one, you're not going to get it right. Let's look at number 13. Before we do 13. So I just want to make sure you understand this. Just watch. What could x be here?
It could be 8 or negative 8.
Oh.
8 or negative 8. Be 8 or negative 8, whatever this is there. This could be this or its opposite. How about this right here?
It could be negative 12.3 or 12.3.
Or positive
Oh, I thought
12.3,
that was
right.
okay.
Now, you got to be careful on number 13. 13 is a tricky one. The absolute value of y equals negative 18. Now, based on what we just did, you might be tempted to say the two answers are what and what?
Positive, negative,
Positive what and negative what?
18.
Positive 18 and negative 18.
But it can only be positive.
Well, were you shaking your head back there?
No, because there's a negative.
Or not? Or were you
before.
just...
I don't know.
Could it be 18?
Yes.
Is it 18? Is the absolute value of 18
It is.
negative 18?
No.
No, it's not.
Because
What is the absolute value of 18?
Why is it that the
18.
negative has
I
to
want
be-
negative 18.
Could you add it?
No, because the negative is in front of the bar, so
It
the
would have to
negative
be
has to be
negative
in
in front of the bar.
Let me ask you this. Other than zero, true or false, absolute values are always positive. True or false? True.
Oh,
It's
see.
always positive. The absolute value of a negative is positive. The absolute value of positive is also positive. This, and the only exception is 0. So what can I take the absolute value of and get negative 18?
0.
Nothing. Not even 0. Why doesn't 0 work? What's the absolute value of 0?
0.
And I want negative 18. What can I take the absolute value of and get a negative? Nothing. Nothing. Don't put 0. 0 is something. If you don't believe me, how about this? This assignment that we just started 10 minutes ago, okay? I haven't graded it yet because you haven't finished it yet. So you want me to go back on my computer and put in zeros for you guys?
No.
Right now, what's your grade on this assignment right now? No, it's not. It's nothing. But if I put zeros in, what happens to your grade?
Drop.
It drops, okay?
Florida.
0 is something, okay? All right, next one. So the answer here is, you're going to click on no solution. There is no answer to this problem. You can't take the absolute value of something
Is that,
and get a negative.
is
No
that multiple
solution.
choice then?
Yeah, it's multiple choice.
Yeah, that's.
You're going to be clicking on different things. Let's look at number 15. All right, how many more we can do here? 15, 17. We're going to do 3 more and then we're going to stop. Okay? 15. This is where they start getting a little bit tougher, but as long as you understood what we just did up here a minute ago, and I'm not going to even write the problem down until you guys say it, okay? What can be inside the absolute value? Whatever's outside it
And it's opposite.
or its opposite, okay? So, keep that in mind. What's in the absolute value can be what's outside it or its opposite. So we have m plus 3 is 7. Okay. Now, you might look at this and say, oh, I know the answer. Okay, you might, right off the top of your head, you might think the answer is what?
7.
Not 7.
Negative 7.
No.
Well, I want to know what m is. That's not a big deal. Well, I thought you guys were going to say 4. Because 4 plus 3 is 7, but you're only half right, okay? So here's what we need to do. We need to do what I just made you say. What's in the absolute value, and what's in the absolute value? What's in the absolute value?
M plus 3.
Write it down. M plus 3 could equal what's outside of it, and what's outside of it? 7, or,
negative 7.
actually write it out. M plus 3 could be, what'd you say?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Write this out, okay? M plus 3 could be 7, or M plus 3 could be negative 7. How do I solve each of those equations?
Oh, you draw the line in the middle of them.
And do what?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3 where?
To the 7. I mean, subtract.
To just one side?
No.
Both sides. So if I do that, we get M equals 4. Subtract 3 here, what do we get? What's negative 7? Take away 3 more. Negative 10. So which is it, 4 or negative 10?
Both.
It's both. And here's why. Plug in 4. 4 plus 3. 7. What's the absolute value of 7? No.
Wait, no, 7.
7. Don't think opposite. That's what you were doing 10 minutes ago. Plug in negative 10. What's negative 10 plus 3?
Wait, no.
A negative 10 and a positive 3 is negative 7. What's the absolute value of negative 7? 7. So which is it?
Both.
Both. And you need both, or you won't get full credit. Like I said, they start out easy and then they get a little bit trickier. 2 more. Okay. So here 3D. Absolute value of negative 3D equals 15. So what we do is what's in the absolute value, what's in the absolute value? Negative 3D. Could equal what's outside the absolute value? 15. Or negative 3D could equal negative 15. What's in the absolute value could be what's outside of it, or its opposite. How do I solve each of those equations?
We divide 15 by negative 3D.
Divide by negative 3, and we get D equals negative 5. Divide by negative 3, and we get, what's a negative 15 divided by negative 3? Negative divided by negative is a positive. So which is it, 5 or negative 5? Both. Now let's check. If I plug in negative 5, what's negative 3 times negative 5?
15.
Positive 15. What's the absolute value of positive 15? 15. Plug in 5. What's negative 3 times 5? What's the absolute value of negative 15? 15. They both work. Let's do one more for today.
What is picture day?
Say it again.
Oh, it's Friday.
What's that?
Next day.
Next Friday's picture day?
That's what the English teacher.
Is it? I didn't know that. Okay. Okay, what do we have here? 4b plus 5, or minus 5? 4b minus 5. Absolute value of 4b minus 5 equals, I think it says 19. Hang on. Yep, equals 19. So, for about the 4th time in a row, what's in the absolute value could be what's outside of it or its opposite. What's inside the absolute value?
4B minus 5.
4b minus 5 could equal what's outside of it?
19.
19. Or 4b minus 5 could equal
Negative.
negative 19. And then we have to solve both of those. What's our first step in solving 4b minus 5 is 19?
Add 5 to 19.
Okay, so we add 5. We don't just add just 19 to which side?
Both sides.
Both sides. So plus 5. We do that, we have 4b equals 19 and 5 is 24. Then what?
We divide.
Divide by 4. And b is 24 divided by 4, which is 6. Be careful here. Some students will think, oh, if one answer's 6, the other answer's negative 6. Not necessarily. That doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, but not always. We add 5 here and add 5 here. We have 4b equals negative 19 plus 5, which is negative 14.
But then that can't be
What's that?
3.5.
It's okay. Hold that thought. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. You get negative 3.5.
That's
Okay. Most of the time you get nice, pretty answers in this class. Not always. And as decimals go, give me a break, 0.5. I mean, you're not going to get answers like 3.78297. Okay, 3.5 is not that bad of a number. Okay, sometimes they come out as decimals. Okay. So it's 6 and negative 3. Most of them are going to be nice. Occasionally you're going to get decimals. Okay. All right. The rest of the time's yours. Go ahead and click on the answers. And I am putting in section 1-3. It's due at the end of the day today.